This video is brought to you by StoneAgeGamer.com, a fantastic site for retro games, systems, accessories, and more. Be sure to check out StoneAgeGamer.com. Skip it up and that up! So I hope you're sitting down, boys and girls, because this is a shocker. But Capcom had to slash its profits by 50% after trying to break into the mobile market. Wow, I sure didn't see that coming. Shout out goes to YouTube user Sean0995. I'll have a link to his channel below in the description. So Capcom originally intended to make 6.8 billion yen, or $65 million, for the fiscal year, but it's now reducing that figure to 3.3 billion yen, which is $32 million. That's over a 50% decrease. This is what their press release on this whole debacle said. Due to rapid changes taking place in the market for games, Capcom is building a sound base for earnings by reorganizing the product development framework and improving development processes. There are two core elements of the company's operations. The objective of these activities is to earn consistent earnings in each fiscal year. However, these initiatives have not yet started to produce benefits, mainly in the mobile contents. Now, the article from Techno Buffalo goes on to talk about how certain games sold and how their HD games aren't doing the numbers that Capcom wants them to do. I've talked about that a billion times in the past before, but Capcom, how many more times do you have to fail over and over and over again and have your fans and have the consumer tell you over and over again what they want for you to actually listen? How many more times do people have to tell you, I just want a Resident Evil? Yes, obviously it has to evolve, but I want a Resident Evil that brings back that eerie atmosphere like they had in Resident Evil 4. That was a huge change from the other Resident Evil games. I'm not saying that games don't have to evolve, they have to evolve. But for Christ's sake, Capcom, stop trying to make generic action shooters. Stop putting on-disc DLC to piss people off. Stop thinking that your fan base, the guys around my age and older, are growing out of your fucking games and trying to advertise games in fashion magazines where no one gives a shit about your product. I just don't understand. You're so desperate, or you were so desperate, and now you're feeling the consequences of it, I should say. You were so desperate to get your own Call of Duty, to make your own generic action shooter that was going to bring billions upon billions of dollars every year. You were so greedy and you wanted that money so bad that in the end it bit you in the ass. And you know what you would have been fine with, Capcom? If you just made the games that people want. If you stop worrying about trying to get that Call of Duty money and the generic action shooter market money and just did what you did best, you'd be fine. And you going into the mobile scene, who's going to give a shit about you in the mobile scene, Capcom? What are you going to do? Remake games like Bionic Commando to play on Android? Do you think that's really going to sell well? Or if you do make the casual games to compete with the other casual companies, no one's going to know who the hell you are. My mother's the one that plays those casual games. Do you think she knows what Capcom is? She doesn't give a shit. Your name's not going to sell you there. You're going to be a nobody like every other indie developer that's trying to go up against games like Angry Birds, Words with Friends, so on and so forth. I mean, Capcom, you got to realize that a lot of the games on Google Play and Apple's App Store for their iOS devices, a lot of them just sink to the bottom and cease to exist. No one ever downloads them. There's only a handful of games that do well on mobile platforms. So you banking on mobile really isn't a good idea. I don't know what else to say. I really feel that Capcom is well on their way to becoming the next THQ, and it's sad because a lot of my awesome childhood memories from gaming, at least I should say, are from the titles they released. Capcom was the shit in the 80s and 90s and even in the 2000s too. They made great games. They were the third-party company to go to back in the NES and Super Nintendo era. They made fantastic IPs, and they're screwing it all up now. They were so desperate and so greedy and trying so hard to become like the Activision of Japan that now it's biting them in the ass, and Capcom may cease to exist entirely. Was it worth it? I don't think so. Alright folks, make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and if you have an interesting news story you would like me to discuss, private message me with a link via YouTube, and if I use your news article, I will give you a shout out in the video and feature your YouTube channel in the description. Have a good one.